back to GTD or Game Time Decision. I'm Keegan Miller here with Micah Farmer. We'll get right into it with Week 2 baseball reactions and moving over to Martinsville coverage, and then some F1 at Suzuka coverage, and then capping it off with the final, or not final, but almost final March Madness coverage. Next week we'll just talk about the winner and what we thought about just the game in general and the Final Four. But we'll get right into MLB. Week 2 has happened. It's come and it's went. How are you feeling?
The Pirates are winning the World Series. They're 8-2. The April Pirates insanity runs cannot be stopped. As far as my team, the Reds, the bats are so ice cold right now. It's not even funny. Can't hit a left-handed pitcher to save their lives. But as far as more just general league stories, the Yankees look to be working out really well so far. Braves have had some good come from behind wins, and then the Marlins finally picked up their first win today, which normally wouldn't be too important, but they beat the Cardinals, which means this is really important to talk about. The Cardinals lost to the 0-9 Marlins. The Cardinals are terrible. It's hilarious.
I will say, kind of the biggest thing I've taken out of week 2, and it's early. I don't expect this to be sustained or anything, but the NL Central is the best division in baseball right now. Every team has 5 wins. The only division where every team has 5 wins.
NL Central supremacy.
Right, in 3 games separates the whole division. I think that's the least. Yep, that's the least in baseball. I think it was 2.5 this morning, but the Cardinals lost to the Marlins. I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, 3 games separates the whole division. The Milwaukee and the Cubs are a game and a half or a game back. So I mean, just the divisions, like we said, it's gonna be super competitive. But we said for the reasons that they're all kind of just
mid.
No one stands out.
Yeah.
So I mean, we think it's gonna be the toughest division, not the best division of baseball, but the toughest division, just because I mean, I think from the Reds, Cubs, Brewers, and Pirates, anybody can win that. Now,
all those
Pirates
teams are similar. It's just, can the Pirates rotation hold on?
I don't think they can sustain this long. We see this. They do this every single year.
Yeah.
They have like the best team of baseball for a few months.
Was it 13-3 last year they started or something like that?
I don't remember, but I remember just everyone being like, "Oh my gosh, the Pirates!" And here we are again. Oh my gosh, the Pirates.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they do have the same amount of wins as the Dodgers. Which I mean, yeah, the Dodgers lineup. You know the lineup like the back of your head. Just give all the dudes they have, and then go ask a normal baseball fan 1 through 9 the Pirates lineup. They can't give it to you.
Teams with 8 wins in the MLB right now: the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then another team that's having a really weird start to the year, at least unexpected, is the Houston Astros, who sit at 2-7 at the bottom of the AL West. Yes, the bottom, as in below the Oakland A's. Or the Sacramento A's, or whatever they're going to be. That's a disaster. If you're worse than the Oakland, Sacramento, Vegas Athletics of Oakland, you're not doing well.
Yeah. I've talked to some Red Sox fans. They're really, they're not. Red Sox fans have a tendency to do this. They're not positive at all.
No. Taylor O'Neill's been great, though.
Right, but every time you talk to them, they're like, "We haven't played anybody. Wait till we play the Orioles. Just wait. We're gonna start losing." But 7-3, not a bad start to the season.
Taylor O'Neill's leading the league in OPS right now. I feel like because of Mookie Betts' hot start, no one's talking about this. Tyler O'Neill is leading the MLB in OPS right now. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. The dude is raking.
I mean, but also the AL Central, the Guardians are out front right now, which we didn't see coming. Your Tigers that take Winston Central in second, and then my Royals are in third. Both with 6 wins, that can go either way. Like I said, the AL Central is probably gonna be competitive just because they're all about the same. I mean, I think the White Sox are gonna be really bad this year.
Yeah, 1-8 right now, not great. Although the 1 win is versus the Braves.
So big news or sad news for the Braves, especially Braves fans. Spencer Strider out. We don't really know how long yet.
UCL strain though, not a full rupture, so that is good for them. But it's
heartbreaking.
It's been a year of injuries from the start of the year. So many pitchers injured.
Yeah, let's take a minute and talk about that because the media's going several different ways about all the pitchers on the IL right now, and a lot of people tend to think it's the pitch clock or this or that. And so you have the camp that thinks it's a pitch clock and things MLB's doing, and you have the camp that thinks, I mean, these guys have thrown since they played travel ball, showcase ball. I mean, they've thrown in 2 years from ages 10 to 11 than Babe Ruth probably threw in his career. I mean, they just throw so much. They started at age 5 and they throw, and now they're 25, and it's you only got so many bullets in the gun.
It's just like NFL running backs. If you start them so young and you're doing this all the time, you're not going to be surprised when it
not to mention they're training every day, heavy balls, bands. I mean, just so much stuff that helps them stay healthy because they are throwing so much more and so much harder, but stuff that also could go very wrong really quickly. Yeah. And it's just, it's a gamble like anything else. You can get injured.
Well, one thing I saw that was pretty interesting, if you look at the kind of release points of these pitchers that have struggled, especially with Spencer Strider. The extra torque they're getting from their back elbow being flat as opposed to more up, to where you're putting more torque on that elbow coming around.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. It's at least interesting, and I don't think it's the pitch clock. I mean, the injury trend was already there, as in injuries were steadily going up before the pitch clock.
Yeah.
I think that it's just they've happened at the same time. The figures have kind of hit this point as the pitch clock was implemented, so everyone thinks it's the pitch clock's fault. I don't think that's the case.
But also, I mean, going back for years, you've had like high intensity guys who the pitch clock didn't affect them at all. I mean, they were always just ready to go, ready to go, ready to go.
Yeah.
And some of those guys throw 100 miles an hour, and they don't.
Yeah.
It didn't I don't think you can blame it on the pitch clock. People are saying MLB needs to get rid of it. I think they will talk about it just because the fans are erupting, kind of. But I don't think anything moves forward. Seriously, I don't think the pitch clock goes away anytime soon or ever. But I mean, yeah, just sucks for Spencer Strider and some of the other guys that have already gone down this season.
Yeah.
But we'll just keep a lookout and see when he returns or what other pitchers go down with injuries. But yeah, so we know you like the bat flip of the week, so we're bringing it back.
Sunglasses are back.
Sunglasses are back. This is a staple in this kind of sort of deal. Today, it actually happened today. It happened a few hours ago.
Just barely got it in.
Mm-hmm. I was looking for I was like, I don't remember it being a big bat flip, and as I was looking, I was like, oh, this one today, perfect. You may have already seen it. It's John Carlos Stanton hitting a grand slam with the Yankees. Stanton off to honestly a Stanton start. He never really starts super hot.
I would say that if you're a Yankees fan, I'd be encouraged by Stanton's start. He's looked pretty decent so far. Honestly.
Yeah. So he hit a grand slam today. Give the Yankees a 5-1 lead over the Blue Jays in the third. But I mean, it was a shot. I mean, everyone knew as soon as it went out.
Stantonian, some would say.
He waxed it just 450 over the left field wall. And then just kind of walks with the bat, just struts. I mean, chest poking out, staring at the ball, not just struts, and then boom, just gives the bat a little flip.
Yeah.
It goes over and over, and then he just rounds the bases, gives a little elbow five to all of his teammates at home plate.
They all tear their UCLs because of the pitch clock.
Yeah, he ran the base too quickly. He didn't have enough time in between elbow fives. He's like boom, boom, oh, and I'm out.
Yeah.
But
yes, the Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, but it was incredible. Good hit for him. Like I said, the Yankees look good. Soto looks good. Staying with that bomb today. And Aaron Judge is going to find a stride and he's going to start, just whacking more baseballs around the park. But yeah, I mean, just hot start for them, and they're going to be tough to reckon with. I mean, hopefully they make a run in the playoffs. I mean, I think we kind of said it. We said it about the Dodgers, but I think the Yankees aren't in the exact same boat, but I mean, what do the Yankees need to do for the season to be a win?
After you spend this much money, especially if this is a rental of Soto, it's hard to not say World Series or bust for the Yankees right now. I get that you can reload. You're the Yankees. You have basically infinite money. Right. But I just think with how much you've put into this team, with all the acquisitions you've made, if this isn't a World Series, I will say make the World Series is... I would be, if they fall short of making the World Series, I think Yankees fans deserve to be disappointed. I think if you lose in the World Series, you at least made it. So I really think that's the bar for whether season is a success for New York or not.
Nah, I'm with you 100%. American League champions is probably where they need to expect to be. And I think they do. I think they've all come together and said there's something special here, and we're holding ourselves to a higher standard. And we've kind of seen that just happen and take form so far. But while we're talking about the future and the playoffs and stuff, we gave you our division winners last week and our AL and NL champs. This week we're gonna give you our picks for Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and MVP of the American and National League. We'll start with Cy Young. The American League, I think there's 2, maybe 3 guys who stand out, but I think the one who just is on top, and I don't think it's going to be a shock to anybody, but, I mean, Corbin Burns, he's been incredible the last few years. Now he's in with the Orioles, who we've talked about, our fun team to watch.
Yeah.
He's 2 games in the year so far, so everything we say is just based off the 2 starts that each of these guys have had, or some guys even maybe 1 start. He's got a 2.3 ERA with a .86 WHIP, which is pretty good. Just one win, but I mean, we know wins are kind of fluid as a pitching stat. Like
Yeah,
people care about them, people don't care about them. So I'm not really gonna put a whole lot of stock into wins, especially after 2 games.
yeah.
But yeah, this whip looks really good. He's got 14 Ks through 11.2 innings pitched, which is outstanding. So Corbin Burns is my pick for AL Cy Young.
Yeah, I'm actually going with a guy on the opposite side of the U.S. in Luis Castillo. He did kind of get shelled in his first start. ERA is sitting at a 6.75, which is not great. The whip's at a 1.78, which is also not great. But I think this is a guy with ace stuff that we've seen over the last couple of years has kind of been on and off. I think this is the year he finally puts it all together for a full season. I picked the Mariners to win the AL West, and a big part of that was this rotation, and I was really between three guys: Castillo, Gilbert, and Corbin Burns. And for me, I ended up going with Castillo just 'cause I think he's going to be the best pitcher on this Mariners team. And I think if this is a Mariners team that wins the AL West, I mean, these team successes can play a big part in the awards sometimes. I think Castillo will be outstanding individually, but also I think the success of the Mariners this year is going to drive him towards that.
Oh, if he leads his team to a division title, especially in that division, or even beyond, it's definitely a, a stamp on his passport of like, hey, I'm should be contending for Cy Young and maybe get it. But it'll be interesting to look at. I do think Corbin Burns just has a little more edge, and I think he's going to get it done. But on to the National League, I have Zach Gallen. Speaking of rotations we think are going to carry the teams in the playoffs, I mean, the D-backs went out and got pitching. I mean, they made the best moves as far as the pitching staff goes in the offseason. And I think it's going to pay off for them in the long run. I think that rotation is probably going to be the reason that down the stretch they get into the playoffs in a wild card spot, however. But it doesn't matter once you're in. I mean, we saw it last year. Once you're in, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I got Zach Gallen in his 2 games. He has a .82 ERA and a 1.00 WHIP, which is pretty good, especially that ERA. I don't think it's going to stay like that, but if it does, I mean, there's no shot he doesn't win Cy Young. And I love watching Zach Gallen pitch, and I mean, you got to go to Gallen.
Well, you don't have to, and I'm going with a guy that I think might surprise a lot of people, and that is a Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Tyler Glasnow. Now, hear me out. I know this is a guy who has been made of paper for the last couple of years, and I know this is a year where everyone's getting injured, and the Dodgers pitching staff can notoriously never stay healthy. So everyone would expect Glasnow to go down after 2 games. But I think he makes it through a full year for once, and I do think that he's going to be outstanding. Right now, his ERA is sitting at a 3.18, but his whip is under 1. It is at 0.88, which is absolutely outstanding. Has pitched really well so far, struck out 15 batters, and I think this is a guy who's really going to lead this LA rotation this year, especially not having Shohei Ohtani available to pitch this year. I think Glasnow is going to be your main number one starter for this team, and I think he's going to be absolutely outstanding in that role. I originally was going to go with Spencer Strider, I'm not going to lie, but after the injury, I was like, well, who do I think is right there ready to pick that up? And it was, for me, between Gallen and Glasnow, so I'm going to back Glasnow for this one. Back the baby giraffe.
Yeah, I mean, nothing makes more sense than a Dodgers team and a healthy pitcher. So
Yes,
I like
I
where your
know.
head's at. I don't know. Glasnow, he has a tendency to get hurt, and I do think he stays a lot more healthy this year. Maybe misses 1 or 2 starts just from fatigue or whatever. But I think he's going to stay healthy this year. I just don't think his numbers are going to back up, Cy Young contender and Cy Young winner. I just don't see it. I think he's going to get hit around a little bit this year. Teams are going to play every time they play Dodgers. Teams are going to play up and get amped up and get excited, especially if he's game one of a series, which as a starter or as your ace, you tend to be sometimes. So we'll have to see, but I think teams are going to step up and try to do more just because it's the Dodgers. They'll
Well,
have Freeman and Otani and Betts, and I
you
think they're
say
good on
that, but I think that actually helps Glasnow because the weakness of the back of the rotation for the Dodgers, I think is going to mean he's going to be in positions where he has to pick up those big wins. I think he's going to be able to step up to those spots and really perform in them.
We'll have to see. But we'll move on over to Rookie of the Year. We had a great Rookie of the Year class last year. Just fun to watch, and I think that's going to continue into this year, especially the National League. The National League Rookie of the Year race is going to be fun to watch. I think
Yeah.
American League is kind of going to be boring depending on what the Orioles decide to do with Jackson Holiday, and we'll get into that. But the National League Rookie of the Year race is going to be fun to watch. But for the American League, we'll start there. I have Jackson Holiday. I know he's not with the Orioles right now, and he's still in the minors. But the way he's hitting, I mean, they've got to pull him up soon, right?
Well, yes, but I think they're doing some finagling with service years over there in Baltimore. And that double A team or triple A team right now, I think could beat the White Sox, could beat the A's with how the Astros are playing.
Yeah.
Beat the Astros.
But I mean, so you say they're finagling for the service year, but we've seen teams
Yeah.
with Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, they held him to that service year. They held him until May, and then he came up and still won Rookie of the Year.
That's true.
So you never know, but I mean, I know these stats are AAA, but he's hitting 342 with a 1.095 OPS and 2 home runs already, 9 RBIs, 4 doubles. I think they're gonna have no choice but to call him up, especially if they start struggling. You know, just get a guy up here, get a guy up here, get a guy up here, see what kind of energy, whatever he can bring. So I got Jackson Holiday winning my AL MVP or Rookie of the Year.
I hope they call him up because I think he deserves to. I think he's an outstanding player. But my AL Rookie of the Year is going to, I think everyone can guess where this is going. It's Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. He's off to a bit of a slow start, hitting just 243 with an OPS at 617. But I think this is a guy who's going to figure it out. He's crushed every level of pitching he's ever faced from college to Double-A to Triple-A. He's hit all of it really well. Had a great spring this year.
He's one of the fastest players to ever
Yeah.
go through the minors.
For sure. And that's one of the fastest players, period. He's top 10 in sprint speed on StatCast. So I think this is a guy he really brings a lot to an offense and is really going to make an impact for Texas. I think they're starting to build toward that kind of Braves lineup philosophy you see where there's no easy out down the entire order, and you have a guy like this hitting in the 6 or the 7 hole. I really think he's going to get some good opportunities this year and really be able to do a good job in them. So for me, I think that Holiday stays down too long, and I think Langford gets it.
How close do you think Langford and Evan Carter are this year?
I think it's very close. I actually was talking about this with one of my friends from South Carolina the other day, and he is taking Evan Carter over Langford. I think that Langford is just a better hitter than Carter, and Carter's been ice cold to start the year. So I do think that Langford's a better player, and I think he's gonna show that this season.
All right.
I do think it's close though. I don't think he blows him out of the water by any means.
Okay. How close do you think it is with Jackson Holiday? Do you think it's Langford Carter Holiday or Langford Holiday Carter super tight?
This pick is hinging on the fact that I don't think Holiday gets called up soon enough to get it done.
That's fair.
That's why I'm making. I think if Holiday gets called up in just a couple weeks, I think he wins it. But I think the Orioles are going to keep him down in AAA for too long for him to be able to do it.
That's fair. Let me hear your NL.
Well, for the NL, I'm actually going with Young-Hoo Lee of the Giants. I think he's kind of getting lost in the shuffle a little bit here with guys like Shota Imanaga and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and some of these other big pitching imports from over there in Asia this year in the NL. And I think Young-Hoo Lee is definitely going to have a shot. He's been hitting great for the Giants, already has his first home run, and this is a guy who's really going to be an X factor for the Giants lineup, I think, who have brought in Matt Chapman, brought in Jorge Soler. That's a ton of power, but not a ton of average. I think this is your guy who consistently gets on base in front of those two guys and is going to be the best rookie hitter in the NL for sure. And I think he does just enough to get it done in front of, I would say, Imanaga and Yamamoto are right there at 2 and 3.
I mean, he's definitely going to have a good year, but I am going with one of those pitchers you mentioned, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. I did not want to pick who I'm picking. I didn't want to seem biased or anything, but I mean, his first 2 games, Shota
amazing.
Imanaga has just blown me away.
He's hitters away, too.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he throws 93, but he can put it wherever he wants. He lives up in the zone with a live fastball.
He has the accuracy of a pitching machine. It's ridiculous.
They called him the pitching philosopher over in Japan, and which is funny because the Cubs have Kyle Hendricks, who over here is known as the professor.
Uh-huh.
So we have the professor who pieces you apart, and then the philosopher.
It's the most intelligent rotation of all time.
And they're both like very, very, very like they don't. I mean, he gets excited and like I love it. He missed a call, or the umpire missed a call today, and he was like oh, he like got into it with the umpire a little bit. I love it, but I mean, just God, he's got a .40 whip. He's got 12 strikeouts in 10 innings.
Yeah.
He's 1-0. He hasn't allowed an earned run yet. I mean, he's been great. It's been fun to watch. He's 1-0. He should have had a win today, but in the fourth inning they went in a 3-hour rain delay, so obviously he didn't pitch after that. So he just didn't pitch long enough to get the win. But he shut the Dodgers lineup out today for all the innings he faced them.
He's been great.
I mean, he's just been so fun to watch. I mean, oh, he's been fun to watch, and I'm very excited to watch him. He's in our 4th spot, by the way, in our rotation. That'll shift its way around as this year goes on. But I didn't want to take him just because I didn't want to seem biased, but he's kind of just won me over.
I don't think that's biased at all. I think if with the slightly rough start Yamamoto has had, if I wouldn't have gone with Lee, I think Imanaga was right there at 2 for me. But you're right. He's been absolutely outstanding so far.
Yeah, but he's only allowed 4 hits in his 10 innings. But
you have to wonder though, as it moves on, is it going to be kind of what we saw from an Andrew Abbott last year when he got called up in the middle of the year for the Reds, where he was dominant his first probably 5 or 6 appearances.
It could be they don't have they don't have
Yeah.
enough information on him, not enough tablet stuff, and I mean he will be hit and he will get kind of his mouth beaten a little bit later in the year. But I think his stuff is just good enough to kind of overcome some of those situations. But he has been fun to watch. But we'll jump over to MVPs.
The big one.
The big one. We'll start with the American League again. What do you got?
Well, I thought long and hard about this one.
Me too. For both. And
there's so many good options here, but I don't know, man. I think you just have to give this to Andres Jimenez. I'm just kidding. It's Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto is going to go crazy for the Yankees this year. He's off to such a hot start already, and a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is a guy that's going to abuse the short porch all year. Juan Soto actually doesn't pull the ball in the air a ton compared to a lot of the other great power hitters in the game, but I think he will get home runs over that short porch, but I think he's just such an elite hitter and such an elite on-base guy. The short porch doesn't matter. Okay. He's just going to do work either way, and this is a guy who's at least a decent defender out there in the outfield, so I think that Soto is just going to be a perfect fit for New York, and you've seen it already. He's injected life into this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the AL. Obviously, Soto was the first one to pop in my head for MVP, and I do think he's gonna have a great year, MVP caliber year. And it was really hard not to take him, but I'm gonna give the edge slightly to Corey Seager. I mean, won World Series MVP last year. He's already off to a hot start this year. He's batting .344 right now with a .900 OPS, and I think he's gonna be consistently. He's gonna have what I like to call a Freddie Freeman year. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into Freddie Freeman when we get to the NL MVP because I do want to harp on this a little bit more with him. Just consistently, like he's not going to be the best hitter in baseball or just have this crazy run where it's home run, home run, home run. He's just going to do what he does great, and hit all year. And his defense is outstanding. As long as he can stay healthy, I don't know. I mean, it's hard not to go with him when he just so consistent. Because Soto, we've seen it with Soto. I mean, last year we saw a stretch where we were wondering if Juan Soto could be out of baseball in a few years. It was just bad to watch Juan Soto last year, and he figured it out, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's just so consistent, and because of that consistency, I'm giving the nod to Corey Seager.
Yeah, I know they were never on the same team. Obviously, they were kind of swapped for one another if you're a Braves fan, but think of Corey Seager as kind of like the Freddie Freeman to Adolis Garcia's Matt Olson, where you kind of have that one guy that's going to hit homers all the time, be that electric, big bomb type guy in Garcia, and then you have Seager right there, who's just like, I can also hit bombs, and I'm just going to be a super consistent front of the lineup every day. You know what you're getting from me. So I like that pick a lot. As far as the NL, I'm going to do something I rarely do and go for a repeat winner, and that is Ronald Acuna Jr. He's off to a little bit of a slow start this season, only hitting .242 right now, but
I feel like he's going to figure it out. Start. In a few seasons, he's been great.
He's been slow a few times off the blocks, and you saw it last year. He had a absolutely blazing hot summer and end of the year, went absolutely crazy, and I don't think he gets to 40-70 again.
I was about to ask that, but I don't think so either.
I think 30-60 is a possibility for sure. I think he's such a good base stealer, he gets to that, and then I think he slightly overplayed his power, honestly, last season, but he's such a good hitter for average. I think it goes under the radar, honestly, with how hard he hits the ball sometimes, and he's such an elite hitter for average, and I think he's going to be able to do that again this year. So I'm going Acuna again.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Freddie Freeman, and I was so close to taking Freddie Freeman for all the reasons I said. He's just his whole career just been super consistent. When he won it in 2019, 2019, right?
18.
18. When he won
Right.
18, I mean, he just had that year
To
where
make
he
sure we're
was
not spreading
right.
misinformation.
He was just super consistent. I think it was 19 because Harper won in 18.
Yeah.
Um, but he was just super consistent, and I think he's gonna have another year like that. But I think he comes up just short.
2020 actually.
Oh, he won in the shortened season.
Yes.
So 2020. But I think Bryce Harper wins another MVP. Just barely though, gets it over him. But I mean, Harper had a really slow. He didn't have a hit until what 5, 6 games into the season.
Yeah.
But when he did
And then
get
you got
a
a
hit,
three-homer game versus the Reds. It's not fun.
when he did get a hit, he hit, man. I mean, he's got a .998 OPS, a .290 batting average. He's only got those 3 home runs, but those numbers are. He's gonna have more than 3 home runs.
It was not a fun game to watch as a Reds fan. It was like, oh, Harper hit a homer. We're down. We've kind of clawed back. Oh, Harper hit a homer. Oh, we're kind of clawed. Oh, he hit a grand slam.
And for those reasons exactly, he's winning MVP. Just for that game. They're going to circle that game and be like, you know what? We don't like the Reds either. He's winning MVP for that game.
One thing that is kind of crazy, though, neither of us said Mookie Betts, who has been leading the MLB in basically everything for the first week and a bit. So, what do you think about that?
I
I want to see if you're thinking the same thing as me here.
Betts was my first kind of option when I started thinking about this. But, and obviously, if he continues his hitting and if he plays defense a little bit better than what he's playing now, he's going to win. Just from moving positions from right field to middle infield, he's played a little bit of second, but mostly shortstop. He's going to win. But his defense has just been bad this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a shock to anybody. He's played right field. He's played outfield his whole life, and now he's moving to shortstop. So and they may still give it to him because I mean I don't think MLB cares about defense at this point in time. They seem to only care about offense. But for me as a complete baseball fan, I just can't give it to him with his defense.
Yeah, and then one guy I do want to shout out here. I know I'm not saying this guy's an MVP candidate, by the way. I don't think he is, but as a Reds fan, I have to give a shout out to Spencer Steer. He's hitting .406 on the year so far with a .500 on base. His OPS is third in baseball at 1313. He's tied for second in RBIs at 12. He's had an absolutely red-hot start to the year, so this is the only guy in the Reds lineup that's been able to hit even semi-consistently. He's the only reason we've won games at all, honestly, and he's been just amazing. So, shout out Spencer Steer. You're not going to win NL MVP, but you're going to be absolutely beautiful for my happiness this season.
Yeah. Well, if he can stay consistent. But your Reds' happiness goes up and down like a roller coaster, so we'll see.
No, it just goes down.
It's like a roller coaster, it's the beginning of the year, and then
there's no ride back up. You
Yeah.
just go through the ground, underground, into the Earth's core, and flame out and die.
You like that roller coaster at SeaWorld where it goes into the water, but this time it doesn't come out of the water.
It just crashes.
The water. Yeah.
As soon as Mount McLean went down, the roller coaster crashed.
Yeah, your up on the roller coaster was getting to play as Ellie De La Cruz in MLB The Show, and then right before the season went.
Yeah, 13-game hit streak that also ended today as we lost a series to the Mets.
The pain. That's all we have for MLB. We'll give you all some more division updates and whatever else comes into play next week. But now we'll move into NASCAR. Martinsville was exactly what we said.
It was one of the races of all time.
Yeah, there's basically no tire wear unless you're Joe Logano and just took 2 right side tires and ran left sides for 200 laps. But yeah, no tire wear, no passing.
By the way, did you see the interview before the race? I forget, it was the kid on Twitter that does all the interviews on pit road, that interviews like the NASCAR officials and stuff. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
I clicked on the race right before it.
Okay, so they were interviewing was it the Goodyear chief or it was some NASCAR official, and he's like, so is the tire wear going to be good? And the official responded with, well, it's not going to be quite Bristol, but we expect a lot of tire fall off today. And boy, did that not happen.
Yeah, no tire fall off whatsoever. But we need to talk about the finish. 40th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports win at Martinsville. It was Jeff Bodine.
And all the Hendrick cars finished 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, including or not including Alex Bowman.
All the Hendrick cars.
That's what they want you to think. I mean, all these.
Alex Bowman does not exist.
Yeah.
According to Jeff Gordon after the race.
He was an afterthought. He popped in. He was like, "Oh wait, I have a fourth driver."
How are the guys today, Jeff? Well, all these 3 guys are great.
Byron got it done. Larson, Elliott, they all had good days, and then Alex Bowman ran well too, I guess.
And Bowman. Bowman also.
Not even sure where he finished, to be honest with you. I was just looking at the 3 cars.
Bowman could have finished 35th back there with Austin Dillon. No one would have noticed.
Yeah, but. So if you think NASCAR scripted after that race, you're just wrong. Because Hendrick and Joe Gibbs have won every race this year. One of those cars was going to win the race, and they did, Hendrick. But my big point is, Alex Bowman finished, what, 7th or 8th? Back me up. Check me up right here.
7th, I think.
He finished 8th.
8th.
Alex Bowman finished 8th, which is a testament to how good these 4 cars were today. I mean, when you have Alex Bowman finishing 8th, yeah, they should finish 1, 2, 3 every race.
Well, also, I think Gibbs had a big off day today. No Gibbs car other than Hamlin was even competent, and so when Hendrick
fell off.
Yeah, when Hendrick and Gibbs have been your dominant teams all season, and Gibbs doesn't show up, who do you think's going to win the race at that point? So.
Right, but an incredible day for Hendrick Motorsports. 1,500 fans in the stands. It was great to see him get it done at 1, 2, 3 with their 3 drivers.
Now, I have to ask, you as a Chase Elliott fan, what are your thoughts on how that ended?
Man, I haven't been that excited watching. I've been excited watching NASCAR, especially this season with the racing we've had. But watching like a driver that you root for, which I'm not going to say I'm like a super diehard Chase Elliott fan like I was a few years back. Now that I'm kind of adopted this whole journalistic, non-biased route that me and you are on. I've kind of just taken a step back of my own fan, whatever.
As I sit here in my Charles Leclerc merch.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still have his merch. I still like his hats and everything. I wear it, and I'm still like, if he wins a race, you'll probably see me more excited than ever.
Yeah.
But I was really excited when he did take the lead in stage 3, and that battle with him and Hamlin was a really good battle. Hamlin ended up winning, but it was a 3.5 for that battle, and it was really good. But I think honestly, that battle may have been his race because he raced his car super hard for those 4 laps, and he might have that might have been it.
Which is a testament to how terrible this package is, by the way. If you race some guy for 4 laps side by side and your car does the Mick Schumacher, done for the day, that's so bad.
But, I mean, it was super exciting, and he said in his post-race interview, he said it was fun to finally compete for a race, and that's how I felt. I was like, this is a win. If you're a 9 fan, this is a win. This is the best race he's had in a while. I mean,
you saw him have that excitement to be up there fighting again, like you talked about in the post-race interview. That's probably the most engaged and excited I've seen Chase Elliott after a race in a while. It's been so long.
Yeah, and when that caution came out, I jumped out of my chair. I was like, oh my God, this is his chance. He's going to get a front seat of the action. They're definitely not going to jump the restart zone today, so it's going to be real racing.
Jump the restart zone.
I don't know.
Surely that would be penalized if it did happen.
Oh, you could bet on it. But yeah, so I was just like, I was super excited. I was like, let's go. And I knew they were gonna race. You know, I was like, they're gonna race. I know they're teammates, but I was like, they're going to race each other.
I personally thought we were getting 2012 Through Ride Wreck Part 2 when that caution came out.
I knew they were gonna like spin each other out and race each other like that, like they weren't teammates. But I knew they were gonna race each other hard and clean, and they did. It was a great first turns 1 and 2 for Elliott and Byron. But Elliott, I think he just drove it so hard on the outside trying to get an edge that he just got so loose in every single turn, and he ended up finishing 3rd because he was just driving so hard to get loose.
Kudos to him for racing Byron clean, though, and Byron said that in his post-race interview, where into 3, Elliott could have easily just sent him into oblivion and won the race.
He gave him a little bit of bumper, but he didn't give him the whole bumper like he could have. So, I mean, it was good and fun. And, I mean, Byron drove him up into the corner the next lap, so, I mean, it just happens. But
it's good racing.
It was good racing. It would have been a little better if they could pass.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just
you heard him say it on the broadcast. You heard him say it. It's taken a guy 20 or 30 minutes to gain one position, so track position is super important. What are we doing if it takes 20 minutes to gain a position at Martinsville?
Yeah.
This used to be a place where you'd have cars going by each other and back and forth the entire race, and now it's just, well, I'm going to sit behind him for 20 laps, and then I'm going to get upset and hit him out of the way. And that's the only way you pass.
No, I'm with you. I mean,
it's so sad.
I don't think we've got an episode without talking about horsepower. Maybe after Atlanta, just because that was awesome, and Daytona.
Yeah.
And we probably won't after Talladega. But
every non-super speedway has been a discussion of NASCAR needs to put more horsepower in.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they just bite the bullet and do it at some point, but we'll see. But yeah, Byron won his third win of the season. Um, he's fourth in the point standings now. His teammate Kyle Larson is at the top, and then you have Truex, Hamlin. Blaney's in fifth, which Blaney had a great day today.
Yeah.
Especially with the first stage
Just
that
nowhere at
yeah.
the start. They had to make an extra pit stop, make adjustments.
Just yeah,
he was
get the
he was struggling to get by Austin Dillon for a couple laps.
right. And well, just go ahead and say it. You're Austin Dillon today.
Austin Dillon is so bad, guys. The Austin Dillon. I don't know if you were paying attention to the '66 car that got lapped every race that was driven by David Starr. David Starr had a fastest lap than Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon had the slowest fast lap of any driver in today's race. On speed, did not get messed up by a pit stop, did not just spin out or wreck, just was slow. Was absolutely terrible and finished 34th. Please get out of the sport immediately.
He's making that 3 car look real good. Chase Elliott 6th, Ty Gibbs down to 7th, Ross Chastain up to 8th, Tyler Reddick 9th, Bowman's holding on to that 10th spot. And but we did both have him making the playoffs, so I mean this isn't a shock. Christopher Bell had a terrible, I mean almost as bad as the day you can get at Martinsville.
I don't know if you've paid attention this year, but every time a car's been purple, it's wrecked. Every purple car this year is
well, Reddick's had a few purple. That's why you know this, isn't it?
That is why.
Okay. Just making sure.
The Atlanta race.
Yeah. Bubba Wallace up 12th. Busher down to 13th. Logano. Another good day.
Yeah.
I mean, we said it last week. You can calm down now. Logano seems to be back to form.
Yes, I think we're fully on Logano is fine now. He's absolutely fine.
I think he gets a win soon.
One guy, though, that's right below him here that I'm starting to get kind of worried about is Kyle Busch. It feels like week after week these RCR cars are nowhere, and you're seeing it with how far down Austin Dillon is. Where last year, when Kyle Busch was winning a race, Dillon would be like maybe 15th or 20th. This year, Kyle Busch is struggling to stay on the lead lap in a lot of these races, and it's just painful to watch. The pit crews have been terrible, and I'm starting to get kind of worried if he's going to be able to make the playoffs, especially you see a guy like Suarez down here out of the top 16, but with that win that would boost him up into it. So
you got to wonder, is Kyle Busch, does he need a win to make the playoffs? Probably at this point.
Yeah.
But is his only chance to get a win Talladega once, because the other Talladega said no. So Talladega, Daytona, that's it. That's all you have left for super speedways. Is that his only chance?
I think you can get a Kyle Busch masterclass in a random mile and a half, and he maybe pulls one out of nowhere. But other than that, yeah, I just don't think RCR has fast enough cars this year for him to be able to win a race on pure pace.
Yeah, I mean, I look out for him in Kansas.
Yeah.
Maybe even Dover. Look out for him there. I know RCR's had a lot of struggles on short tracks, but maybe they get a car together for Busch to run well in at Dover. But yeah, in our final, Daniel Suarez has to win, so
yeah,
he's
in
the
that
playoffs,
16th spot.
So he'll knock Chase Briscoe down. But Chase Briscoe, I mean, top 16 in points right now, 17th in the playoff positions.
Yeah.
Stuart Hall's car.
Yeah.
So not bad for Briscoe at all. I mean,
then you look at the rest of them. I know they're lower in points. Josh Berry 23rd, Gregson 29th, and Priest 26th. But Priest ran top 10 today, got a top 10 finish. Briscoe, like you said, looked good a lot today. Josh Berry had good moments today. Looked really good at Richmond last week and got messed up by a pit stop.
Looked good today.
And then Gregson looked good earlier in the year at Vegas. So I think these cars are showing flashes. I don't know if they'll be able to put together a full consistent season. But one team I do want to shout out here that I did not expect to be doing this at all at any point this season is Legacy Motor Club, who right now have John Hunter Nemechek in 19th and Eric Jones in 20th. And for a team that I expected to fully be like a 25th-ish place team this season, to have both of those cars doing well, Eric Jones finished, I think, 12th today at a track he usually does not run well at all. So I think these cars under the radar have been better than expected, and I think it's a good job by them, honestly, to be 19th and 20th.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I didn't expect much at all. Jimmy Johnson is racing this weekend at Texas. So
we get the win. Gonna spin.
Yeah, that's more like it. So we'll see how they do.
I'm not gonna lie. If Jimmy Johnson wins at Texas, I don't even know what I'll do. You guys see the stuff everywhere. It's been so long. It's not gonna happen. But if it did, I might go insane.
That would be it'd be, as a fan of the sport, it'd be fun to watch. But also as a fan of the sport, I just know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
It's sad, but it's true.
yeah, but before we move on to Texas, because we have our picks for y'all, let's rate the burnout. Did you watch the burnout?
Yes, I did, and I'm gonna give it a 9. I think
Really?
for me it was a little low on the front stretch there, but going
Okay.
around and doing the extra burnout in front of the fans, I don't know if you saw, but he kind of hit the wall,
Yeah,
which
he
I
hit the
thought
wall.
was
He
funny.
even said it in his interview. He was like, "I hit the wall."
To me, that added some bonus points. He gave it his all, smacked it into the wall there, kept going. So I think doing the burnout on both the back stretch with all the Hendrick supporters there, then on the front stretch, and then I don't know if you saw, but he also almost clipped a cameraman, flipping it around at the start finish line. So a lot of entertaining things happened, and I think it was really, really good. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
I gave it an 8.
Boo!
The only because the burnout on the front stretch I didn't enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed it. Obviously, it's a burnout, and I'm a guy, but it was just kind of like compared to some of the ones we've seen this year. Especially, I think he had a really good one earlier this year, but yeah, it was just kind of like But he did save it when he went over and did the burnout in front of the Hendrick crew, which was really cool. And he did hit the wall and stuff, and he was so excited after the race. It was really good to see him. 'Cause, I mean, it was a big day for Hendrick, and for them to get it done like that. I mean, him, Larson, and Elliott were all super excited. I didn't get an interview with Bowman. I don't know. I'm sure he was excited for them.
He was out there somewhere.
Yeah, he was like, it was fun, guys. We had a lot of fun.
He was eating a peanut butter sandwich in his hauler after the race.
Yeah, watching like, wait, Hendrick won today? Why is my car? No, it's not the car, sir. It's the driver. No, but we love you.
Come to the Pocono week later this year, and we're talking about who should replace Bowman.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to talk about from a Pocono race.
What are you talking about? It's a triangle. We can just say it's a triangle.
Okay, we'll do the Pythagorean theorem on the Pocono racetrack.
We don't have to. The measurements are online.
It's not a right triangle either. That wouldn't work. We're not math people.
Yeah, so picks for Texas. You picked Larson to win at Martinsville, which you picked a lot of third place drivers, and he would have finished third if Elliott hadn't gotten loose.
Finished second. We're slowly getting there. Slowly.
You're still you're 0-8. You have yet to scratch.
My average finish got to be so good though.
Yeah, but I have 2 wins on the season. Not great, but it's 2 more than you have, and I'll take it. For Texas this week, who you got?
I am actually going with Ty Gibbs. I think you did this a couple weeks ago.
Yes, I did 2 weeks ago.
And then I'm taking him here at Texas. I have a feeling. I can't explain it, and these other picks I've had logic for. I'm throwing logic out the window because obviously that hasn't worked. So give me Ty Gibbs. I think Toyota bounces back strong this week at Texas. I think they're all fast, and I think Texas is not a track you have to worry about tire management a lot at, which is something that really killed Ty Gibbs at other tracks. So I think you just let him go out there, let him fly. I think he's going to pick up his first win finally this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the pick. I'm going with Kyle Larson. I mean, he's just every type of track we've ran this year, he's just kind of been at the front, and you expect that from Kyle Larson. So, and it's not. I don't know if the odds are out yet, but when they come out and when they get closer to the race, he's probably going to be at the top of those odds like he was, this weekend. But yeah, Kyle Larson at Texas. Hendrick's just been so dominant this year, along with Gibbs. But I do want to say, this was a day that Ford needed to do good at. And I think all in all, they had a good day today.
Yes.
I mean, Logano ran well. Blaney made up for the terrible stage 1 he had.
Ford had 4 cars in the top 10 today.
Josh Berry had a good run until the end. I think Ford had a good day today, and I think they used that momentum. And I'd look out for Ford at Texas. I'd look out for a Logano or an RFK car, whether it's Kozlowski or Buescher. But Logano and those 2 guys, look out for them at Texas to make some noise. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but they're going to make some noise, and they're going to get a win down the stretch.
The problem with RFK for me is I feel like they've had good finishes this year. The issue is they aren't unloading fast enough to be able to compete. They unload off the truck and they're a 25th place car, and then by the end of the race they're up there in the top 5, top 10, but it just takes them so long. I think they really need to find a way to unload quicker, but I definitely would agree with you on looking out for Logano and maybe even a Blaney this weekend.
I think they get their first win at Talladega. I think Ford wins Talladega. I think they used the momentum from today because they had a good day. They build momentum, and they build more momentum at Texas going into Talladega. They get a car together, and I'm not going to give him my pick yet because I haven't picked in my head. I'll see how he does this weekend, but a Ford is winning at Talladega. You can mark it down now.
Mark it down.
Until next week when I tell you to ignore what I said last week.
It's gonna be
and
Noah Gregson.
And I pick like William Byron or
He's picking Noah Gregson to win Talladega.
But look out,
or Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, and I know y'all aren't looking forward to Texas anyway, so we can go ahead and start talking about Talladega. But yeah, and other racing news.
You should be picking Justin Haley.
No, I'm not. I didn't know the nicest way to say that, but I'm not. But let's move on over to F1.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, Verstappen won.
It was a good race, though.
It was.
This is one race that usually Suzuka's a track you cannot overtake at all, but we saw differing pit strategies, and that's so huge for overtaking for F1. And you saw it, even though Verstappen was out front pretty much the entire race. I would still give this race a 7 or 8 out of 10 just because of the constant passing back and forth you had. And one thing that made this race really enjoyable for me was the strategy from Charles Leclerc in this one. Started 8th after a bad last sector in qualifying on Saturday and proceeded to do the best tire stint of the entire race. These medium tires were falling off after 12 to 13, maybe 15 laps if you're lucky, and he took him 22, 23 laps before pitting for the hards and going to the end on one stop. The only driver to really make a one-stop strategy work effectively, and he ended up finishing 4th, gained 4 places over the course of this race. Very impressive. Obviously, Sainz got the podium spot. But if you look at their race pace, F1 releases a graphic each week where it's each driver's average race pace graphed. Leclerc was actually faster than Sainz this week on that race pace. So I think that this is a race that shows he's definitely still got it. Now, not to take anything away from Carlos Sainz, Carlos drove an amazing race, got that podium, and keeps producing.
He has been all year.
He's been on the podium every race that he started. Right. I think that shows that Sainz is a very, very good driver as well. I think these two drivers are very close together right now, although obviously I'm still going to give Leclerc the edge because it's been that way their entire partnership where he's been faster and beating him. But I would say if Sainz continues this for I'd give it another month. I might start to flip that. But
we were talking about it earlier today, and I was telling you, I'm already. I mean, Sainz is my favorite driver, but I have always been like, Leclerc has a higher ceiling, if you will. But I mean, this year, and I'm a big emotional guy. I think emotions play a huge role in athletes, and I think you're seeing that unfold with Sainz. He's angry, He's pissed off, he knows he's got to go get it, and he's done that. I mean, he's done everything that he can. I mean, when you're looking for a seat in F1 right now, you're not really looking to see if they beat Verstappen. You're looking to see if they beat everyone else, and he has been.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the win when Verstappen was out. So I mean, I think Sainz is better right now. We'll see how that unfolds, but I mean, he's driving angry, and I love it. And I think Sainz is going to have a great year. And I think 2025 is going to be a rough year for Sainz just because he's not going to be in the seat he wants, just because there's not a whole lot available.
Yeah.
But 2026 is going to be great for Sainz, and especially if he gets to Red Bull. I mean,
Yeah, I think Perez right now is driving too well for that to happen. Checo's been great. He had the off week at Australia, which I think is magnified because Verstappen was out that off week, but was on the pace for most of this week. Only finished about 12 seconds off of Verstappen, and for Perez, that's a really good performance. But back to Leclerc and Sainz for a second. I know we are going to disagree right now on who's the better driver in that team, but I think one thing that I hate is you see it especially on Twitter so much. F1 Twitter is a crazy place that
Twitter as a whole, X as a whole.
Everyone thinking that just because one driver's doing well, the other's terrible. You can have two drivers
they're both
at a high level
in
the same team. Here. I think this is one of those cases where both of these drivers are performing really well right now, and to see people on Twitter fighting each other and people in general fighting each other, just because Sainz is doing well, Leclerc is terrible, or just because Leclerc looked good, Sainz is terrible. It's ridiculous. They're both really good drivers, so I think you have to give them their credit, but as far as our predictions, you went for Verstappen, Leclerc, and Perez, and got one of those right with Verstappen in the lead. I went for Verstappen, Norris, and Leclerc because I thought McLaren would be fast, which I think Norris could have been on that last podium place if they had a little bit more luck in the pits, but still definitely didn't get second, and I got the 1 point for Verstappen as well. I'm now 6 of 12 on podiums this year. You're 4 of 12. We have an off week this week, moving to China after that, but one guy we do need to give a huge shout-out to before moving on is Yuki Tsunoda, who scored a point at his home race in Japan. Japan's first home points, I think 14 years since Kamui Kobayashi did it, but very impressive for Yuki Tsunoda. Always great to see a guy score points at home in F1, especially a guy in these lower teams where it's a lot harder to do. But thankfully, there's a man named Lance Stroll who means that the top five drivers don't always finish in those top five team slots. So great for Yuki. Another driver had a good race was Nico Hulkenberg, who had an awful start after the red flag on lap 2, but worked his way back up, finished 11th, and then on that red flag, is Williams going to run out of chassis? They didn't have a spare chassis for Australia. Now you've got to think Albon broke that one again. So for a team that says they're not going to have spare chassis until Miami, this is starting to become a problem.
Yeah, I mean they're losing cars left and right. So
yeah, Albon currently leading the World Destructors Championship, and then you're thinking, oh well, this is Logan Sargent's chance to show he still deserves a seat, and he was running up in 12th. Then got jumped by 3 cars in the pit stop, started to fall off the back of the train. Then just as he started to make his way back forward, he went in the gravel. So, just awful weekend for Logan again. It's really sad to see as an American fan. It's a guy I want to root for, but just it's hard to keep justifying the fact that he should have a seat, especially when you have guys like Kimi Antonelli out there and could take it. So, I think this is probably Sargent's last year.
Watch Larson in the Indy 500. If he does good, reach out to him. I know the FIA would never allow that, but you know.
I do think that he is the best driver from America in the world right now, though, for sure. But that's pretty much it for F1 this week. Like I said, off week, and then we head to China, who will have a home racer for the first time ever, and Zhou Guanyu will take the track in Shanghai. So hopefully he's able to do well there. I know that would be a really good feel-good story. I don't think he's on form right now, though, to do that, and I don't think even if he was, that Sauber's fast enough. But I guess we'll have to see.
I haven't looked at what time that race starts in China, but I hope it's noon. In any time, I'm sure it's noon in some time zone somewhere. But that'd be funny. Just the Shanghai noon race.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that Japan was midnight, I would guess it's probably going to be about 10 or 11 p.m.
It says 2 a.m. for us.
What is it later in China? Is it later local time start?
I don't know. It's 2 a.m. for us. I'm sure it's noon somewhere around the world. So Shanghai noon race, look out for it. But yeah, with March Madness, we'll just touch on the Final Four real quick before we leave. UConn beat Alabama. We said that was probably going to happen.
Thank goodness UConn.
Purdue ended NC State's 11-seed run. Sad to see, but Purdue did look that. I mean, they've looked good the past few weeks. So
people
credit
say
to Purdue.
That Zach Edey is not good at basketball.
You're just haters.
What are you watching?
Yeah.
But this is how I would like to pose this question. If you were 7'4", 7'5", whatever Zach Edey is, if you were that big and you had that build, do you think you could do what Zach Edey is doing on a basketball court right now?
I do. I'm kidding. I've watched.
I was about to say. No, you didn't say anything. I've seen you out there.
Yeah.
If you had that much height, all you become is a tree that still can't shoot. So I
don't have to shoot. I'm just gonna stand under the rim. But that's what's so good about him.
He's such a good player, and it stinks that he gets devalued so much because of his height. I think he is absolutely amazing. I don't think he's good enough to beat UConn. This is a UConn team we finally saw tested versus Alabama. It was close for most of the game, and then UConn just pulled away down the stretch. So I think it's going to be really hard for any team to beat UConn. I think this UConn team becomes back-to-back champs, first time since anyone's done it since the Florida Gators in the 2000s. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. UConn's winning this. What's great is by the time you're watching this, you will know who won. So whatever we say now could just be hilarious, or we look like we know what we're talking about.
We're actually going to edit it in post so that we know who won, and we're going to change it, and the lip sync is not going to match up at all, but will look smarter.
Yeah, I'm going to do the U. No, I know it's the Miami U, but I'm going to do the U. I'm going UConn. So, this isn't UConn.
This is how the U goes. This is U goes that way.
But yeah, I got UConn over Purdue. I guess that's it for this episode. What you got?
Abrupt ending. I don't really have anything else.
No. We do have something fun next week. We're going to open baseball cards on the show, so make sure you tune in, see if we can pull any autos, one-on-ones, anything like that.
By that I mean we're going to open physical baseball cards on the show. We're not opening the show packs on MLB The Show 24.
Which we are going to have some show content for you. Maybe some me versus him and Diamond Dynasty or some co-op stuff, so be on the lookout for that. I guess that's it. See you later.